Howdy folks, welcome back to Small Farm Guys. Today, you can see we're standing in front of the skid and I'm holding a bunch of wire. This is very expensive wire, but it is our 14 plug connector for the skid. We're going to be putting it on because we bought something you guys will see in the upcoming videos that we don't technically need the electrical connection for, but it's just going to be nicer to have it on, and we're going to use the electrical connection for what we're doing. And it'll just be better all around rather than dealing with stuff in the cab. This is what comes in the kit. You got your instruction manual. You got your mounting brackets here. They send out the mounting brackets for both style skids. So like my skid, we're not using this. This is used for an older model. And then they've got two different bolts. These bolts are noticeably longer than these other ones. We're going to end up using the short bolts. The long bolts go with this other bracket here. So just make sure you've got all your parts. You've got, you get two of these. You can check your manual. It has a parts list on there. So just confirm you've got everything before you start. All right, so our first step is we've got two holes here that are threaded. And don't drop the screw bolts, but these are 12 millimeter heads. So just go ahead and get them threaded in. It's not very convenient. And since they've got the one where it's impossible, and I know they do make ratcheting wrenches, and I do have a set. They are at home, and I'm in the shop, and I just am refusing to go get them. All right, so next step, we're going to take and install the connector into the bracket that we just put in. So you want to fish it behind the skid here, behind your arm. Pull it through because everything runs down the inside of the arm, so it's protected. Take this cap off. It just twists out. You got the chain so you don't lose it, which it's not the best chain, but whatever. You got your nut and your washer, so go ahead. You got the flat spot here, which aligns with the flat spot in your bracket. Slide it in there, put your washer on, then go ahead and thread your nut on. And then you're going to want to get a wrench to tighten this up. Okay, now we've got the overkill wrench, 16-inch crescent wrench, just to make sure she's good and snug. So put her on there. Now that she's good and tight. All right, so after we get it mounted, we've got these little push-in button connectors here. So once you get them in, you can't get them out. This bracket here, if you follow it all the way down to the bottom, there's a pre-drilled hole designed for this little clip. So go ahead and clip it in. So just push it in, it clicks in. Now you can't pull it out. We haven't zip tied this down yet. We just want to get everything ran. All the wires put in, then I'll go back and zip tie it down because just to make sure everything clears and we don't have to pull anything back and forth. Okay, after you did the first one, there's another one that goes on to the next clamp farther up the line. So from this side of the machine, just find the hole with your finger and then you can click. You'll hear it click in, and I always try to give it a little tug back to make sure it did lock in. But it's now locked in good and tight. And then we're going to go ahead and I'll try to get you an underside shot. It's hard to see, but right there you can see where it clicked in. And there's two of them, so there's one farther down where we previously clicked it in. So then we'll get up on top and show you where we got to fish the wires. All right, so now that we got the wire somewhere approximately in this range, what we did is we took and we grabbed the rest of the bundle and fed it to the back. We just loosely laid it back there so we could lift the arms up, because then what we want to do is we want to go ahead and loosen up these two bolts here and take these hose bracket retainers out of the way, because that way we can feed the wire down with these hoses into the belly of the machine. So you're going to want to take a 14 millimeter, get your socket, break them loose, and go ahead and take them out, but don't lose them so we can mount the brackets in there once we get the wire through. All right, so now that we have our arms up in the air, those two little side brackets removed, we're gonna go ahead and take our zip tie and zip tie it right here, so that way we can kind of start creating the loop or the bend in it to feed down into the machine here. So just take your zip tie. I'm just putting it on loose for now. We'll go back through and tighten it up when I'm done. But just for now, just to kind of hold it up, I don't want to pinch it tight and then have to, readjust it. So just get everything kind of mocked up and then tighten it once you're done. So now we're on this side, so we just want to keep following this small line down, and just go ahead and you can actually, when you get down here, you can cross this small line, cross underneath the small line, and sneak your plugs down and in here, and just feed the rest of your wire through. Then we'll go back there and we'll put those brackets on and get those brackets in place before we start pulling out the radiator and everything. Now that we've got the wire down here, we did cross underneath this small one, but we're gonna just take, and I've got my ends pulled out, so we'll just leave them hanging here so we know where they're at. You can take your bracket now and put your wires, your lines back in here, and then go ahead and put your bolt back in here. Make sure they're good and tight. So now we've got our wire secured in here between these connections. And then we're gonna go ahead and down on that bottom one, we're gonna pull your bolt out, slip it in there like that, I would assume would be the best way. And go ahead and a little tight to get in there. Okay, so once you get your bracket installed down there, take your zip tie here with the little plug on the end, because we're gonna plug it into the hole. I would say get it started. Again, I'm leaving everything loose. I'll go back and tighten it up. And then go ahead and plug it into the backmost hole on that bracket, which you may lead to you having to tighten this up a little bit, but it still is movable. All right, once you get your connector clamped in there, just take your extra wire, feed it in behind this bracket, and just follow your hoses right on in and down. So you just take and follow your hoses and feed it down in there, and then we're gonna have to go into the backside and open up the radiator so we can work back there. All right, so to remove your radiator, you got 3 bolts here. It's a 19 millimeter, so just break them loose and then remove them. Don't lose your bolts. And then, if you've seen our previous videos, gotta lift up on your radiator hose after you walk it out a little bit. Walk your radiator out, and then you can just tilt it forward. Lift up on your hose, and everything tilts up out of your way for the most part. So, right down here, right there, and there's your plugs. Now from the back side, it's really hard to see. That's why we're showing you from here. But this is where you're gonna plug your wiring harnesses into. Okay, so we'll try to show you from the back. So right up in here is the one connector, and right here is your other connector for those two connectors. So we'll go ahead and get them in and then get back to you. All right, so now that we got the plugs plugged in, I'm not gonna show you that, you guys, because I showed you where it was and it was already a hassle to get down there. So you guys can see where it's at in the previous video. All you do is you put the connectors in there. We got those in, so then what we're gonna do is, before we zip tie anything tight, we wanna take and we wanna move the arms up and down and watch to make sure it doesn't pinch. And then we'll go ahead, zip tie everything down, and then you're good to go. And then I would suggest testing it on the front. All right, well, as you can see, we've got this mounted and we got it all connected in the back. So now you can go ahead and use it on all your attachments. Thanks for watching, you guys. Please comment, like, and subscribe for more.